Bob Mills Weather Center, Oklahoma weather expert, Lacey Swope.
All right, guys, we're going to do some video that we had from yesterday from our storm trackers who were out. Val and Amy Castor, Marty Logan, Jeremy Carter, Brandon Pennell out yesterday along with Sammy. And you can see some of the areas with very low visibility due to those large snowflakes. It was that very wet snow that you could pack, which actually made the driving conditions a little bit better because you could get traction and the main roadways stayed mostly wet. Some of the secondary roadways became snow-packed and completely snow-covered. But overnight, temperatures have remained at or above freezing. They've just fallen below freezing out in western Oklahoma in the last couple of hours. So we had additional melting overnight while you were sleeping. Let me take you now to the area where our storm trackers are. This is a live look across the area. We've got our Lucky Star Skycam network. The snow has continued to melt, especially on the pavement, on the sidewalk this morning, on your driveway, where we had anywhere from 1 to 3 inches. You'll see it on the grassy surfaces, the rooftops, where totals were more of 4 or 5 inches. That looks more like this. That's where you find Brandon Pennell. Brandon, give us your exact location once again this morning. You've had some areas that are very slushy, some areas still snow covered in the Southwest Metro. Go ahead.
Yeah, Lacey, this is going to be around Southwest 119th and Council area, Rockwell. And literally, it kind of just depends on where you're at in the metro. Even in the Southwest Metro, it varies mile by mile. You know, where those bands set up real good and there was less traffic. The roads are a lot more snow covered and still pretty slushy. And then a mile up the road, there may not have been quite as an enhanced band of snow and more traffic. So therefore, you're dealing with a lot different driving conditions, even early this morning before people are really out and about. So for an Oklahoma snowstorm in February and it to be 34 degrees at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, we are in really good shape. Just a little bit of ponding, but you can get to and from. Back to you.
Okay, great update there. So for folks that were like, hey, maybe I was going to use the weather as an excuse after the Super Bowl to not have to go in so early, can't really blame it on the roads across central Oklahoma. They are not all that bad, which is great news for all the folks that have to get out and about and head on into work. And for the kiddos that are going to school this morning, that is some of the worst conditions that you are going to see in the southwest sides of the region. Let me show you a live look at our Lucky Star Skycam network from our Concho Cam. Check it out. Skies are clearing out. We're going to have a gorgeous sunrise and we'll have full sun through the day today. Already crystal clear over the West Metro, over into Canadian County, and that's why your temperatures are colder. These temperatures have dropped in just the last hour below freezing. Most of the overnight you were above freezing. We still have to watch the next hour or so, maybe to see some additional icing. I don't think that's going to happen, but watch the elevated surfaces. 31 now in Guthrie, 34 in Moore, 33 in Shawnee, where you have temperatures in the 20s. You still have the moisture, so be careful. We've got mid-upper 30s down into southern Oklahoma and off to the east. Here's how much snow fell. 1 to 2 to 3 inches. Officially at Will Rogers, 2.6 inches fell yesterday. We had some light snow, some flurries overnight. We'll get you that total for the entire span coming up. 2 inches in Choctaw, 1.5 in Norman, 4.5 inches in Bridge Creek is what Brandon measured, 5 inches over near Hinton. So that's where we have some of the worst conditions, although it's not terrible because you had melting overnight. Most of the roads wet. In some areas, they're becoming dry. And after traveling up towards Tulsa, 1 to 3 inches of wet snow. Same type of scenario. Most of the pavement is wet. And man, if this would have been, if the temperature at the surface would have been at or below freezing as that heavy snow was falling in southwestern Oklahoma, you could have ended up with close to a foot of snow. But a lot of that was melting on contact. The rain content, the moisture with it has been so great for February. Current conditions, wet to slushy conditions. And then the worst, where we have the zone in purple, a lot of this in the far southwest continued to melt overnight. Here's a look at the rain gauges so far. These numbers will go up today as the sun comes up and that snow melts and trickles down into the gauges. 3/4 of an inch in Oklahoma City, nearly an inch of rain in Norman, 1 to 2 inches in southeastern Oklahoma, 1.5, I should say. No one had 2 inches, but more rain is falling. We do have a little snow still ongoing off to the east, and this is going to trek all the way up through the Midwest. We've had severe weather overnight in the deep south, and all is dry now on next gen, and skies are clearing from west to east. Still some light snow from Sapulpa to Tulsa to Claremore, back near Shakota and Lake Eufaula, up to the northeast. That's kind of the wrap, the back edge of that upper level low. Very common scene this morning, just wet and soggy. 33 degrees still at Will Rogers. larger, so we're still getting some additional melting even though the sun isn't up. North winds are 10 to 20, so it feels like the teens and low 20s. It is a cold start, and hour by hour today, if you're wanting to get out and play in the snow, you better do it quick. 38 degrees by noon, 45 and sunshine by 3 o'clock. Afternoon highs, 44 Piedmont, 45 in Newcastle, 45 in Jones, 45 in Peak. Low 50s in the northwest where you just didn't have as much moisture. In fact, completely dry up in Kay County, 52 degrees for and high. Full sun is what we're expecting through the day, but with clear skies tonight, it's going to be a cold one. We will fall below freezing tonight, likely into the upper 20s, 29 in Edmond, 28 in Newcastle. If there's any moisture left that could refreeze, not anticipating widespread issues, but maybe some patchy black ice tomorrow morning. 29 in Clinton, 28 in Altus. Most of this will melt and dry off through the day. And then tomorrow, 50s and 60s on the way. South winds at 10 to 20 Wednesday, Valentine's Day, lower mid 60s. It looks gorgeous. And your 9-day forecast, I think you're going to like it for February. From the 60s, cooling to the 40s. Strong cold front arrives late week. That will bring us 40s for a couple of days, some cold mornings. But by Sunday, 54 and 60s into next week. And that's your forecast. We've got more for you. Right after this, stick with us.